ahead and kick it off. Y'all feel good about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kerrie Joy, for stepping in to give this training for folks so they can see what you've been doing with Demystify the Technique. You can demystify it for the abolitionists that are tuning in. And Shannon has left the link in the comments if you'd like to log into this Zoom and be a part of this workshop that is facilitated by Kerrie Joy. Just thank you again one more time, and it's all yours. Take it.
All right. Listen, thank you so much, Jeff. Thank you, Shannon. Y'all have been doing some amazing things. I really appreciate your leadership, Jeff, and your heart in everything that you do. So let's bring this to the people and get some shit done together. Can everyone see my screen? Am I sharing Facebook?
Yes.
That's happening. All right. Here we go. Can everyone see that? Okay. Beautiful. So my name is Kerrie Joy. I'm, doing some cool things with my hands there. I'm very excited to be with you all tonight. And talk about, a baby of mine, Demystify the Technique, which is in partnership with Rue Black. Many of you might know Rue Johnson, who was the visionary for this. Box and Nug magazine, who they've helped out a lot with the video production and the graphics, Warm Cookies of the Revolution, and Denver Creative Industries Alliance, and now, the Emancipation Theater and Allies to Abolitionists. We appreciate your partnership in this. So the working vision for Demystify the Technique is to bring our local government to the people, to understand the rules of the game and to ultimately change and abolish them. And I just wanted to, kind of start this off by saying, I do not know everything. I am not the master of all knowledge. But I also don't believe in hoarding information. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's extremely important that we have these spaces where we can share information. If I mess up, if I give you something that's not completely accurate, charge it to my head and correct me. Let's figure it out together. Okay. And also I'm in an office right now where sometimes the lights go off. So if it goes off and I disappear, I just got to do a little dance and I'll be right back. All right. So just so you know. Okay. So, this is interactive. I love, educating in spaces with people because I love to talk to people. So I'm going to ask you to, interact with me at certain points here. But I want to hear from y'all. How do you define politics? Anybody can jump on in. You can use a chat or unmute. Again, anything in the chat here?
Oh, Jess.
Servants of the people. I love that, Jess. Thank you. What else we got, y'all? How do you define politics? Okay, I see we shy tonight. That's all right. The back and forth of ideas used to govern society. All right, thank you, Tess. Beautiful. Represent the voice needs of the people. Yeah, hell yeah. The ways human beings decide to live together. Absolutely. I love all of these. I am going to use a definition from Chairman Freddie because I feel like it brings something home that we tend to forget sometimes. And when I use these words, I don't use them lightly. All right. So Chairman Fred Hampton, taught us that politics is war without bloodshed. War is politics with bloodshed. And I would honestly argue that both have a body count. You know what I'm saying? The work that we do, we realize every single day, people out here dying in the streets, losing body parts, losing their mind because of the government sanctioned violence going on in our communities. And I don't use these words lightly, right? Because, people that just because they look like me are struggling to survive every single day. You know what I'm saying? And it's extremely important that we understand the gravity of the situation. That's why I go as hard as I do. That's why y'all go as hard as you do, because lives are at stake. All right. So with that all said, let's move into this a little bit further. So demystify the technique. How does it help us organize? And I know this is a little small, so let me try to zoom in here a little bit. Can everybody see that better? Dope. All right. So essentially, every single Thursday, the city council agenda comes out for the following Monday. And we take that agenda on Thursday and we break it down with an anti-racist, anti-classist lens. We want to teach people how to understand what's going on, how we're actively doing business. If a lot of people understand, like, I don't like the way this shit is going. I don't like the way that government is run right now. And so we have to understand how that's happening and the rules of the game. That's another way that I like to define politics. It is the rules of this game. These laws are the rules that govern our lives. And we have to understand these rules so that we can change these rules and ultimately abolish the ones that do not serve us, that are inhumane. With Demystify, I try my best to keep it under 10 minutes. You want to make shit digestible. You don't want to overwhelm people. Y'all already have so much going on. But sometimes I get a little caught up, right? I use an emotional lens, and it plays a small role because people are moved based on their emotions, but it cannot dominate that space. We need facts so that we can bring facts to the governing body when we're challenging them on these policies. It helps to make a case. The fact that the resources are there. We operate in this scarcity mindset, but there's enough for all of us to eat, right? The priorities are what we are missing, and it becomes very convoluted to serve the people. It is not hard to govern. It is just very convoluted the way that it has been designed over time. And this galvanizes people, to get involved, to participate. And also, I really hope that this normalizes conversations where we are, just having these conversations with each other on a regular basis, talking about, what city government looks like, because we are literally all in business together, right? So we have to have these conversations, but we're making sure that we're doing it in a way that serves everybody. So with that said, let's talk a little bit about what the agenda brings to us. It brings these bills and resolutions, right? The life of a bill, and I always think of that Schoolhouse Rock song. I'm just a bill, yes, mommy, that one. So the life of a bill or a resolution in Denver City Council is about 3.5 weeks. And this is how it breaks down, just so you have an understanding of what it looks like. It goes from the agencies and the planning board to the committee consent agenda on the first week, on a Thursday, okay? And real quick, a consent agenda, just so you know, what happens is city council members are given all of these bills and resolutions in one packet, right? And the committee consent agenda goes to city council and not the public initially, just so you have that understanding. But what happens is, unless a city council member calls one of those things out, right, the assumption is we're just going to let this go to full council and ultimately pass. And so this happens twice, right? So let me go back through the life of the bill again, and I'll try to explain that one more time. So on the first week, on a Thursday, it is presented to the city council members. Then it goes to the committee meetings only if it is called out by a city council member. And so that means that the agency that presented this bill or resolution is going to present to the council members, answer any questions, things like that. Sometimes there's a public comment session, right? Depending on the discretion of the chair. So this happens on the second Tuesday or Wednesday, right? Right after that first week. Then the third week, it goes to mayor council, which is a meeting that is exclusively with the mayor and the city council members. It is open to the public, even though he hasn't been doing it recently for reasons that we know. But it's open to the public unless there's an executive session. An executive session basically means they're talking about a bunch of legal shit that we're not supposed to, have access to as a public, which makes no sense because it's public information. You know what I'm saying? So, just to give you an idea of when that happens, think about the collective bargaining agreements that happen with a lot of our safety agencies. Generally, you will see city council or mayor council meetings happening without public access because they're talking about those legal things. And then the last week, the fourth week, on a Monday, that is when the all of the agenda items that were approved through committee go to the full council. And the only exception here is when a city council member does a direct filing, right? Which means that any council member can go ahead and put a bill or a resolution on the agenda, and they can skip all of the agencies, the planning board, and the committee, okay? And this happens more often than we know, and it can work to our benefit depending on who it is, to be honest, right? Because we know that there are individuals that are actually looking out for the well-being of the people. Shout out Candy said about that. All right, so real quick before I get to the next section where I break down the committees, because I just want y'all to have an understanding of the structure that is set here. Does anybody have a question about what a consent agenda is? Because I would like to explain that one more time just in case I need to.
I have a question. It's not about consent agenda. And then Dave has a question in the chat too. Okay. It's different. But my question is, so are the only ways to bring a bill to council through an agency, a planning board, or a council person? Like, what if you're just like a regular person or a group of people that want to bring a bill forward? Do you have to like go through one of those entities?
That's a fantastic question. I feel like you're setting me up for something that I kind of forgot about. So thank you, Shannon. So those are ways that you're able to bring a bill, but also you can do a citizen-led ballot initiative. A lot of us might remember Initiative 300 from 2019. That was, a group of individuals that came together, got some petitions signed, and ultimately presented an ordinance change to city council. So it gets a little complicated because it depends on if it is an ordinance change, if it is a charter change, and I feel like there's one more that I'm forgetting right now. If it is, and also it depends on if it's taking place during a regularly scheduled election cycle, or if it's a special election. Like, there's a bunch of different rules. So if it is an ordinance change and it's like a regular election year, you need 2.5% of signatures of the electorate. And in Denver, we have like 640,000 registered voters or something right now. So you need 2.5%. If it is a ordinance change, if it is a charter change, you need 5%. And if it is a special election, both of those numbers are doubled. Okay? And so what ends up happening is that once you get all your petition signatures, you still have to bring it to city council. And you still have to go through a process of them actually putting it on the agenda and then ultimately making it available to the voters. Or if you are working with city council members already and, maybe they like what you're doing, like the climate change tax that just happened last year. There's a sales tax. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that, but that just took place last year. You probably voted on it. That was something where the residents worked with the city council members, and the city council members referred it to the ballot without having to go through the signature collection process. Does all of that make sense?
Okay. I'm with you about 75%, but I want to keep going to other people's questions. Dave asked if anyone knows when the last mayor council meeting was held.
From my understanding, that was right around the time when when people flooded into the city council meeting and kind of took it over. And then I believe it was the following day there were some more people that showed up to to the mayor's office and demanded that he, respond to what's going on with our unhoused neighbors right now. He tried to hide, and then basically after that, he was like, "I'm not showing up." That's kind of how it went down. So it's been a while.
And then Katie asked, I think people are very curious about consent agendas because Jamie is watching on the live stream, and Katie asked, are consent items listed on the weekly agenda for that committee?
Yes. So all of the consent items are going to be listed on the agenda. So they'll either be on the committee agenda, right? Or, you know what, actually, let me get back to you on that one. I think so. I believe so, because the same applies for the full council agenda. All of the items are going to be listed, but they will only do presentations or call out, allocate time to talk about specific agenda items that have been called out by council members. But let me double check on the committee consent agenda, but I believe the answer is yes. I'll get back to you though, okay? Any other questions?
Nope. Not
all right,
right
awesome. And Matthew, I did see that you had your hand up when I asked about the consent agenda. So just one more time, there is a bunch of bills and resolutions that come to City Council, either for the committee or for the full City Council body. And unless a City Council member calls one of those things out, when you vote for the entire block, and you say yes for the entire block. All right? If you have any other questions about that, just let me know. Cool, thank y'all. So to give you guys an idea, I know it might be hard to read some of this, but I'm happy to also send this presentation to y'all. I will definitely do that. But these are the 5 committees, right? And we have Ludi, FinGov, Safety, and Business. The top, the first the first part of the table that you're seeing here. These are all of the agencies that get their bills and their resolutions passed through that specific committee, right? So community planning and development, all of their bills are going to go through Ludi. When you have, the Denver Clerk and Recorder, all of their bills are going to go through FinGov. Department of Safety, all going to go through Safety. And, OED, or the Office of Economic Development, that's all going to go through Business. The second part of the table here that you're seeing are some additional agencies that we don't normally see present bills and resolutions, but if they do, these are the committees that they're going to go to. Okay? So just so you know. I have the days and times that these take place every single week. Okay? On the last one, and I also have all of the City Council members that are on that committee.
Ooh.
So I will be sure to send this out because this is super helpful for me. You know what I'm saying? So we can track people down, hold people accountable. Just so you know, City Council members can attend any committee they want to. They don't have to be on the committee in order to attend the meetings or to ask questions, right? But generally, you can only have a motion or move something forward from committee to the full body from those that are assigned to that committee. All right. But a great example of people, just showing up to committees that, they are not assigned to and, really changing some things with an equitable lens is when Councilwoman Sebebaka showed up to a safety committee in 2019 and found out that our halfway houses were being run by GEO, the same people that are running, the immigration facilities in Aurora. And she was like, what the fuck is this? Why are we getting the money? Right? So it is really important that we hold all of our council members accountable so they know everything that is going on and they have access to all of these to all of these bills and resolutions, because they can stop these bills and resolutions at some point in time if they make themselves aware of how things are being run in their city. The budget committee is something that's a little new to me, so I'm not even gonna lie. It's from my understanding, it just started about last year, and it takes place on Thursdays at 9:30. So y'all could probably see my face in the text messages. So that is for all city council members, and this is where they're supposed to have an opportunity to really talk about the way that that they're budgeting within the city. If you have more questions about that one, I might have to defer to like some of the council members themselves to get more information on that. Just so you know. All right. Good. Oh, there we go.
Yeah. This is what happens in my class.
All right. I'm back. Okay. So committee meeting need to knows. Like I said, all members are invited. Something that people don't necessarily think of or know sometimes is, I've heard from city council members specifically, nothing is killed in a committee. If a bill or a resolution is brought to committee, they will not make it die there. They're going to force it to go to the full body before they will actually allow for it to die. So even if council members are not on board, right, they're going to force it to the full body. So when if you come to a public comment session for a committee meeting, or if you just come in to listen in, do not expect, don't expect bills to die. They're damn near always going to pass through. I haven't seen them not pass through. I have literally heard all of the council members say they don't die in committee. That's just, and I don't understand it. But that's just the way that they're running the city right now. And it's a choice. Like, let's be real about that. It is a choice. We can allow for it to die in committee, but they're choosing not to. Okay. Yeah, like I said, the only presentations you see are those that are asked for by council members. There is public input opportunities. There's only 15 minutes that they generally give for that. Sometimes at the discretion of the chair, it could be longer. Each speaker has 2 minutes. And what kind of sucks about these is that you have to sign up within the 90-minute period prior to the meeting starting. So it's actually 2 hours before the meeting starts, and 30 minutes before is when they close the assignment. All right. And if it passes out of committee, it will hit the council floor approximately 2 weeks later. So not the next Monday, but the following week.
Kerrie,
okay. Yes.
There's a question from Harmony about public comment in committee, which I see you have that there. But just to clarify, a council person has to request for public comment in committee, right? Okay.
Yes. Thank you for that. Yes. It is not a guarantee. That's definitely a request, and the chair has to approve that.
And then Tess has her hand raised. Maybe she wants to ask a question.
What up, Tess? Hey, y'all. I have a question about. So I called to ask about this hour and a half, 2 hour window because at least for a lot of them, it's like in the morning, and I said to them, there's no teacher in Denver that could sign up in that period of time. They're teaching during that time. It's like at 9 o'clock in the morning. And I asked, what I think you probably want teachers to be able to participate in this process. So what do we do about that? They didn't really have an answer. And then I asked about people with disabilities over Zoom and making public comment. How do you know how they accommodate for people? I mean, if they only have a 2 hour window to sign up, and then are they getting translators? And how do you know anything about the accommodations that are being provided in such a short window?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And just to clarify something that I messed up earlier, it is 90 minutes prior, and they cut it off at half an hour. So sorry about that. But so generally that is at the discretion of the council members, right? It kind of happens the same way within the regular city council meetings as well. Only if there is a request for translation, only if there is a request, to help with accessibility, do they try to accommodate. But there's so much opportunities for discretion with people that aren't always fully committed to the individuals that they're serving. So honestly, to put it bluntly, they're not really trying to help. You know what I'm saying? So I hope that answers your question. From my understanding, if we want to change this, we would have to go about doing some ordinance changes. I don't believe that this is in the charter. I've read through it a couple of times, and I haven't seen this specifically. So if you do want to go about changing it, we would have to do some ordinance changes. Does that answer your question, Tess?
Yes, it does. And I just would like to say, yikes. That's Pretty disappointing.
Huge yikes. Yes. So if council members ask, you know, they tend to accommodate, but it really all depends. Anything else that I'm missing, Shannon?
Yeah, there's a couple more questions in the chat, and your queen is here for backup, she says. So Terry is asking about public comment in committee. Do we need to be really ready on the off chance that the chair will schedule it? Usually we get notified, right?
Yeah, they usually provide notice. Yeah, so if there's like a bill that you're really following, you know, whatever council members that are a part of that committee, at least, you know, will make that known, because usually if they want it to pass, they want backup, you know, stuff like that. But they usually notify you. Yeah.
And then Katie says, is there a way to see a bill that's going to go to committee ahead of time to request that a council member ask for public comment?
Yes, and I actually have some calls to action at the end of this, where you will be able to sign up. So within the on the website for Denver Gov, if you go into like their Granicus, that's where like all their legislation is, you can sign up for alerts. And as soon as a bill is made, you will be alerted. And if you know you have any questions about it, then you can reach out to your council members and ask that they call it out.
I think Dave posted the link, so I'm asking him if he can post that link again for alerts. Cool.
Beautiful. Thank you, Dave. Awesome. All right. I'm going to keep it pushing. Okay, just to have an understanding of what we're looking at when we do look at an agenda, and we will look at one. What is a bill and what is a resolution, right? And I get a little confused about this sometimes, so forgive me if I am not completely correct on some of this. But a bill is an ordinance. Ordinances, they're municipal laws and changes. They require 2 readings at every city council. So you will see on the agenda where it says, you know, first reading, and then bills for final consideration or second reading. And that's when they'll actually be voting on it to pass or fail. And so this includes zoning changes, zoning codes, and preservations, like historic preservations, things like that. Like it says here, ordinances create or amend laws, or they might use current laws. So you might see an ordinance to appropriate dollars based on a law. All right. And then all zoning changes, just so everybody understands this, all zoning changes, whether it's codes or whether it's site specific, require a public hearing. Every single one of them. And every single person that signs up for that public hearing must be heard. Okay? Resolutions are contracts. So these are contractual agreements, purchase orders, grant agreements, etc., between the city and other entities. And they only require 1 reading unless we see that it's delayed by the majority of council. All right. So a council member can call one out and say, you know, I think we need a bit more time on this. So let's go ahead and delay it 1 week. And then we'll see it show up again. Courtesy hearings may be requested for resolutions. And they're usually 30 minutes, but it can be at the discretion of usually the council president. All right. Any questions thus far? I'm just going to jump in the chat real quick and make sure. Okay, awesome. So city council meeting need to know. So you know there are 13 members. We have 11 districts and 2 at large. 7 votes are needed to pass a bill or a resolution. 9 votes are needed to make it veto proof, right? So to make sure that the mayor can't fuck it up. All zoning changes require public hearing, like I said. All items on the agenda will be approved in a block vote unless it's called out by a council member, and council members can call them out for questions, for comments, or for votes, and for all of those things at the same time. Okay. I also included the information for public input here. It starts at 12 p.m. on the Friday before the public comment session on Monday. So you can sign up online, you can call, topics are required. And just so you know, it's important that we know this because emails and voicemails can be added to the public record, right? So if you can't make it to city council to speak, in the public comment session, you can leave a voicemail. Just make sure that you're referring the actual bill number, right? Or you can send an email and make sure you're citing the bill numbers, so that they can put it into the public record. I've heard some contradictory information from city council staff about whether public comments and some of these emails and voicemails are actually put into the public record. Some of them have said that that's not actually true, that the public record, they don't actually start putting things into the public record until 5:30, which is the 30 minutes after the public comment starts. You know what I'm saying? So, Candy, I don't know if you have any clarity on that, but I've heard mixed information on that. So just so you are aware, we should do it so that hopefully it's on record. But sometimes they have these loopholes, you know what I'm saying, to invalidate.
And if you ever don't see your public comment uploaded, it's almost like you have to notify them to upload your public comment to the record, because they're not super diligent about doing that.
Thank you for that. Man, it's a damn shame. All right. Awesome. So let's talk. Oh, go ahead, Shannon.
Tess just said, what did Gilmore say about sending it to DNCC if we wanted it included in the official record? Do we need to copy them or copy that email address?
They would have to be included in order for it to be in the official record. City council members at their discretion can also make sure that it is uploaded if it comes directly to them. But, depending on if they like it or not, they may not choose to do so.
And what that does when you send it to DNCC is it sends it to our administrative assistant for all of council. And so only in big votes are they sending us updates periodically, the way I was updating you all about group living. Most of the time, they don't even give us that until we're about to vote on it. So what I like to do is make sure that you copy all the city council members and the DNCC box. They don't like that, but I like to do that because you're flooding them as you're writing them, instead of accepting that they've read them when they say everybody attests to having read these. Half the time, nobody has really read them.
Thanks. Thank you for that, Candy. All right, so here's another interactive portion of this presentation. So, like I said earlier, the focus of Demystify is to really approach this work with an anti-racist, anti-classist, we're really trying to center the margins, right? That's the lens. So I want to know from you, what does that look like? What does centering the margins look like when it comes to analyzing policy?
I would like
identify by. Yes, someone's speaking. Go ahead.
Sorry, this is Brian Lomacott saying hello. I would say that the idea of centering the margin is to whittle away at the worst and best case scenarios so that a median impact is what's examined. We don't want to look at the worst case scenarios of how our development or change happen, because that's not to the majority of people.
Got you. Thank you. Thank you, Brian. I'm also going to read in the chat from Matthew. Says, go to the source, talk to your unhoused neighbors, talk with refugees, talk with folks in the detention center. Absolutely. We want to make sure that the people that are most impacted are really leading the conversation about how we're doing business. What else, y'all? Katie says, considering who will benefit and who will suffer as a result of bills. Pretty much what Brian was saying. Yep, absolutely. Anything else? All right, I'm gonna keep pushing just because I know I want to be cognizant of your time. So this is kind of the lens that I use, right? And I'm trying to be a little specific here. When I'm looking through the bills, right, I'm trying to see, okay, why are we keep giving money to wealthy white contractors, right? Can we focus on figuring out who the BIPOC contractors are? Can we divert funds from the police from criminalization, from the courts, can stop the use of eminent domain. It's fucking insane. An equity lens when it comes to resource distribution. I know that you guys have seen on some of my Demystify episodes where I'm talking about the use of hotels or the use of affordable housing, right? Are we making sure that the people that need the most are the first ones getting it? Okay. People like to talk about affordability, but accessibility is key. Okay. If it's affordable to you, but it is not affordable to me, then it is not affordable. All right. So we have to make sure it is accessible to all people that need it. Authentic community engagement. Like Matthew was saying, we need to make sure our most impacted, our most marginalized members are leading. When they're good, we're good. Representation, not just in identity, but also in values, right? All skin folk and kin folk, we know that shit. And, collective funding and contracts. This is an opportunity to build capacity. There's a lot of organizations and businesses that can do the work, but because they can't qualify for the RFP because they don't have the budget. You know what I'm saying? What if we got a collective of organizations together and help them build that capacity to truly serve? So these are the ways that I look through these bills and these resolutions and try to provide alternatives and solutions to the way that we're currently doing things. So let's talk a little bit about organized public input, because that's ultimately what this is about. We want to make sure everybody is participating. So what are your thoughts? What does organized public input look like when it comes to local governance? Build working class solidarity with BIPOC and other vulnerable communities. What does that look like in city council politics week to week? Thank you, Terry. Absolutely. Solidarity is key. I see, Tess, I don't know if your hand is still up from earlier, and I see your hand up as well, Dave, so you guys can go ahead and unmute.
We went to the one of the encampments a while back and had a couple of the folks speak, and that was kind of like what we thought it would be organized. I know John, I don't think John's on tonight, but he has an idea of breaking down the documentary into 3-minute snippets and organizing to having each of us use the 3 minutes as our public comment one time.
Blair had some graphics. She was also, Blair's been also doing the graphics, which has been really, really awesome. In just having as our background when we do give public comment, at least on the Zoom, and having that be kind of strategic as well.
Great trick, Candy. Great trick.
Yes, awesome. I love that. Thank y'all. I'm also going to read Harmony's comment. My dad told me a definition of politics being the process to determine who gets what. It's simple, but when I look at it like this, it's easier to see the big picture. Yeah, absolutely. And you just got to make sure that we all have access to everything that we need, right? All right. So, where'd it go? Okay. So one way that, I'm looking at organized public input when it comes to Demystify is you want to be strategic. You know what I'm saying? So when we have these opportunities to engage in our local governments, we kind of want to speak their language. You know what I'm saying? Until we get some folks up there that are willing to talk to us like we're human beings. You know what I mean? But you want to cite the bill and resolution, so you can go on the record saying, this is exactly what we're talking about. There's no confusion here. You want to identify the issues and questions based on the established lens that we discussed earlier, right? When we're talking about recentering the margins and that anti-racist lens, you want to identify the issue, and if it is racist in nature, if it's upholding white supremacy, how is that happening? What are the questions that we need to ask to make sure it's not? Demystify that shit, right? We want to identify the solutions and the alternatives, right? So we don't just want to present problems. We don't just want to present issues. I heard this on the RTD debate team called a couple of weeks ago too. Identify the alternatives and the solutions. Make the ask. Tell city council members how to vote. They work for us, right? So if you want to tell them no, don't vote no. Vote no on this. Vote yes. Or you can also tell them return it to the committee, right? If this is something, for example, if we have an affordable housing project coming into our community, right? We can say, okay, we understand that this is something that is necessary, but it's not going to really accomplish its full goal unless we do this, this, and this, and this. Okay, so we can say, send it back to committee, make sure that you're checking these appropriate boxes, make sure that you're getting the input and the community engagement that you need, then bring it back to full council and we can vote yes. Site community demands, right? You know, like I said, they work for us and we can respectfully and sometimes disrespectfully, because sometimes it's fucking necessary, remind them that they work for us, right? Site hypocrisies, hold them to their promises. I hate that city council is doing land acknowledgements and simultaneously using things like eminent domain. Why are you even, what's the point? You know what I'm saying? So cite those hypocrisies and hold them accountable. This is ultimately about making the arguments, okay? So we want to be specific, we want to be strategic, we want to be as concise as possible. And when this is specific to like demystify script reading or the research going into demystify and getting people involved, you want to make calls to action and engagement as accessible as possible. Okay? Let me pause real quick. Any questions before we try shit?
Harmony just popped a question in. Is there anything we can do about the 30-second clock?
You know, it's even worse now because everything is virtual, so they can literally just mute your ass or kick you out as a panelist. And we've seen that happen. We've seen that happen when people like call out specific council members, right? Stuff. It's kind of ridiculous.
I think that you guys asked a little bit, somebody mentioned it, and I think that continuing to ask that or even finding a better option. I know teachers on here have figured out some better options that don't make your screen go to full screen. You can present that to them in public comment and also follow up afterwards. Stacy Simonet is the person who's operating the technology and is very behind on technology and reluctant to adapt. So the more you can like socialize that there's a better option, and this is what it is, we can push internally. I can push internally for them to do that.
Thank you, Candy. And real quick, Candy, I actually just wanted to ask, are there ways for the community to ask for more public comment? Like, how would that happen? Would that be an ordinance change of some sort?
We have to change it through an ordinance or through, we have these things called council procedures, rules and procedures, and we vote on those like an ordinance to adopt them, but they can be modified. And so if you guys continuously are asking for more time, then I can make a case to have them changed, to have the rules changed. We didn't have public comment every week before. And so we made the change to have public comment every week. We didn't have it recorded or streamed. We made that change. So it's possible to change it if we have enough demand.
So y'all heard it. Thank you. And I also know that someone mentioned, as far as organized public input, graphics. Yes, that's huge. Definitely have, a team that provides graphics for us. People digest that information visually. And so shout out to Emily as well. And shout out to Fox and Nug that works with Demystify. All right, so let's try to practice a little bit of this. Actually, I see a question here from Katie. Is there a way to make it more of a dialogue to write? Yes, that is something that I mentioned earlier, or I stated earlier in one of the slides. They're not technically they're not supposed to respond, right? From my understanding, you should be able to follow up with council members, but there's not really much time. So Candy, I don't know if you want to speak to that, because there's not really much time between public comment and actually following up and saying, like, I want answers to this question tonight before you vote on it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's sometimes a strategy, like if you're asking questions about something we're voting on that night, if you really want me to get that question answered, you can be communicating with your council member to get the council member to ask the agencies or whoever you're trying to get the answer from. When that's not possible, I feel like they've set it up this way, but that's a choice. So it's also a choice that can be undone. It's an arbitrarily made choice.
Right. Thank you for that. That's why it's extremely important that as we get this information out before the council meeting, right, we are organizing with emails, voicemails, and organizing in public comment to ask these questions prior to and hold them accountable. Like, tell them to call these items out and get these questions answered. You know what I'm saying? And so the more people that are doing that, the more pressure we apply in that way, the more likely they are to respond. Okay? So we got to organize in that way as well. All right. So I want to try it a little bit here. And I'm just going to go ahead and pull up an agenda item. This is from last year. This is from June 15th of 2020. And so I just want to show you a little bit, you know, what it looks like. So first of all, I'm going to show you how to get to these agenda items. Okay? Everybody can still see my screen, right?
Yes.
Okay. So let me do this. All right. So when you go to denvergov.org, this is what it looks like. All right. You end up going to government. Hit that. Then you go to Denver City Council. And I can give you the direct link as well. I just want to make sure you know how to navigate it. Then you're going to go to search legislation. And this is where you can search for all types of legislation. No matter when it happens, you know, you can search the different years, you can search the different types. But this is Granicus. This is what I was talking about earlier. So what you're gonna do is go to City Council. And this is gonna bring up the agenda items, at least for this year, right? So right now we're waiting on the agenda to be available for this upcoming Monday. That's gonna be available tomorrow night. But you can click on any agenda here and it'll pull up the PDF. It'll download the PDF. Okay.
If you don't want to do that, click on meeting details.
You want to do it?
Yeah, click on it.
She's my boss, yeah.
And there's I found this late and I was like, oh, I wish I would have found this before I used up all this storage. And then can you see where it says, let's see. So look, it lays it out in agenda format for you. You can click the view right there. That shows you, I'm like moving my mouse around like you could see, but you can either click meeting details and it'll show you just the bills. It won't show it to you in order, but she has it in agenda view. So it's showing you the actual like order of the events too. So you're basically looking at what you would be downloading as a PDF.
Right. Yes. Okay. And if I'm not doing,
yeah, click those, hover over those, and it shows you different views. You can export them to track them. There, you can look at it like that. So there's a bunch of different ways that you can look at it and play with it to get familiar with it and follow along the meeting so you know exactly what's happening step by step by step.
Yes. Thank you. So with that said, I just want to, and I wanted to pull up this one from last year just because I had a couple of things that we talked about. As far as direct filing, right? You know, I had mentioned earlier that council members are able to skip past agencies, committees, and directly file an item onto the agenda. This was for the emergency declaration during COVID, and that's when Councilmember Clark is the president. So real quick here, I just want to look at, let's look at this bill, okay? Or this resolution right here, all right? So it's a resolution approving a proposed agreement. Let me zoom in a little here. Between the City and County of Denver on behalf of itself and the Denver Workforce Development Board and Eckerd Youth Alternatives, Inc. to provide one-stop operator and comprehensive services specific to employment and training as required under Denver's Workforce Innovation and Opportunities Act. So I just want to know from your perspective, right? What are some things that you might look at this resolution and have some questions about when we're thinking about that anti-racist lens and we're thinking about recentering the margins? The fact that it's a singular service provider. Yep. So why aren't we working with collectives, right? What else?
I'm thinking about that slide you had earlier about Terry. This is it, Terry. Who is Eckerd Connects? What is their history, including the city? I would, who's their staff? In terms of like diversity. That's Yeah, absolutely. Where are they located? Yes. How many minority bids were placed? What percentage are being honored? Yes. What else? Are they global or local? Yes. What else? What does the mayor get? Facts. Have they been sued? Yes. And Candy's asking a lot of questions that we already know the answers to, because I called this one out specifically on that Demystify episode because I was like, who the fuck is Eckerd Connects? Who are these people? And why are we giving them $2.5 million? Right? What's their workers' comp history? Yes. All of these are great questions. And just so you know, Eckerd Connects has a really terrible history, right? Of abusing the youth that they work with. They are located in Clearwater, Florida. Why are we doing business? Why are we giving $2.5 million to an organization outside of the city of Denver? We have so many organizations right here that can provide the same type of service, the same type of workforce innovation, right? So we're making sure that we're keeping money and resources in our communities. What is the makeup of their workforce? Absolutely. Do they have union workers? Yes. What are their management's credentials? Yes. These are amazing questions. And this is the lens through which we have to look at these policies that they're presenting to understand what are the alternatives, right? So what are some alternatives? If Eckerd Connects is not working, right? We don't want to go with them, okay? What would we do instead? And this is kind of where the challenge was presented for us, but I want to hear some of your ideas. Who's a local place that does the same thing?
Right. Who is a local place that does the same thing? And when we posed this question to the administration, they said that the local entity, I think it was Emily Griffith, that did apply, we couldn't afford them. Basically, from my understanding, it was out of our budget, or whatever the case might be, right? And so rather than us investing our dollars into the local organizations and entities, and really putting our money where our mouths are, right? Because we spend millions and millions and millions of dollars on things that we don't even need. You know what I'm saying? So, and they make the case for, I'm thinking about the 16th Street Mall, for example, right? And we're spending millions of dollars on making changes to the 16th Street Mall when our communities clearly asked to make better use of those dollars. So there's this hypocrisy there that we want to make sure that we're highlighting when we're having these conversations. I hope that helps just a little bit, but this is just a lens, and I'm just trying to be mindful of our time here. So I'm probably just gonna stop it right here because we have until 8, right? So
yeah, there's a question in the chat from Terry, and I kind of have a burning similar question. If we may go like 5 minutes more.
Yeah.
So Terry says, is there a city agency with more accountability that with more funding could do this job instead of a private corporation? We need to get past the stereotype that government always does things worse.
Right. I mean, I think that is a great question. From my understanding, I believe DITO, or is it OED? They always change their acronyms very quickly. Mm-hmm. But from my understanding, if they actually, did what they were intended to do as an agency, they could provide these services, and maybe they could be the ones doing the hiring, or they could partner with other local organizations. But I think that DITO or OED, I can't remember which one it is right now, would be the agency that I would look to for something like this. I don't know if Candy, if you have more input.
Yeah, and I think just generally, a lot of our agencies could be doing the work that we outsource via contracts, but they choose not to. For example, the halfway houses, we were contracting with private prison companies to operate them, but there was a time in our history where the sheriff's department did operate the halfway houses. And when they had some issues, they threw their hands up and decided to outsource. Often the outsourcing is primarily because of the cost. They can get it done for cheaper, but that doesn't guarantee quality. Neither does local, but it's easier for them to contract instead of building the internal capacity to do it. But that's also what leaves us in really difficult situations, and creates an inability to serve our city.
Yeah, and something that I've also been thinking about a lot is, community engagement, right? And making sure that community engagement is not just a box that's checked, but it's intentional and it's meaningful. And, if our city had an agency that, specifically worked on engaging our community members and getting their feedback and taking their lead on these contracts that we have, or on these ordinances, because what tends to happen is that they put it on the contractors, right? They say, we're going to give you all of this money, and if you want to, you can engage with the community. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to, like Candy said, building the capacity within our city to prioritize the voices of the people that we're supposed to be serving. So
And if bad shit happens, they reduce their liability. So say in a private prison run halfway house, someone dies, the family doesn't have access to sue the city, they have to sue the contractor. And so they eliminate liability as well, and accountability.
Right. Absolutely. Yes, absolutely, Jeff. Justice for Rivera. Real talk, real talk. So yeah, that's really what I got for y'all tonight. The last thing that I wanted to do, and because I ran out of time and I wanted to grab this link here. But I wanted to put out a quick call for action. Let me find it. And just kind of let you guys know. Here's a link. Let you guys know what it is that we need. So as we're doing this work with Demystify, and something that I wanted to mention earlier, right now, just because of capacity, Demystify is focused on Denver City Council, right? But I would love to see something like this with RTD, like you guys are working on right now with Denver School Board. I know that people in Aurora have been asking over and over again, how can we get this over at the City Council for Aurora? Like, how can we build the capacity to make sure that participatory government is not this far-fetched idea that we just keep throwing out there and hoping that it sticks? You know what I'm saying? How can we normalize these conversations? So specifically for this, we're looking for some researchers, the script writers, people that can write the email templates, the call templates. And for the script readers, we would love for it to be BIPOC folk, right? We want to make sure that the people that are having these conversations and putting this information out there, we need to normalize the folks that have been most marginalized in these spaces. We want organizers to help get this info out to the people and activate their participation. Something that I really think we need, because we ran into this issue with Eckerd Connect, right? We need to build a collective of businesses and organizations that are ready to receive the funding, when we identify that there is a resolution here for a contract with somebody that has no business using our tax dollars, we need to have a collective of people that are ready to step in. So that when city council is saying, well, who's gonna do it instead? We got you. You know what I'm saying? So we need to start brainstorming around what that looks like. And last but not least, I just wanted to invite everyone to sign up for alerts. I put the link in the chat as well. But when you go onto Granicus, just to show you one more time real quick, when you go onto Granicus, in the top right corner, I'm already signed into my account, so let me sign out real quick. But in the top right corner, you can see where it says sign in. You'll go in there and you will you'll go ahead and make your account, or if you already have an account, you'll sign into your account, and then you can sign up for alerts. So when legislation is coming through, you will be alerted so that we can let our city council members know how we need them to move based on those things. So that's it. I'm gonna stop sharing. I hope this was helpful. And if you have any additional questions, I'm gonna put my email in the chat. Actually, I'm gonna put my number in the chat.
It was amazing, Kerrie Joy. It was great. You know, I just want to say that this is the next evolutionary step from allies to abolitionists. This right here, you know, we have shown up and with passion and courage. And that, I think, is usually the hardest step to take. Now we want to refine our technique, our strategy, to elevate our effectiveness. So what you gave, what you downloaded tonight was exactly the next level of our debate team, training and refinement to get us to the level where we are consequential when we show up in the public sphere to engage in the civic process. So I cannot thank you enough for what you brought. That was right on time. And hey, Candy with the backup. Yeah. Candy with the backup vocals. That was right on point.
Tag teaming.
That's it. That's how we get it done. Like you said at the top, that, we don't, the earth is not a perfect circle. It's got a wobble to it. And ain't none of us gonna get it. Ain't none of us gonna get it, 360 degrees exactly. Ain't got exactly 24 hours in a day. Come on. We got it. That's why we gotta, we gotta make sure we hold each other down. And so I appreciate you for holding us down. And we're going to return the favor and do the same thing. So thank you so much.